Beardy and the Beast Media Club.
Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. This is a placeholder intro song.
I'm recording. I am not streaming. It's been a while.
It's been a
Been a
while.
while. Thank you for joining us for a very spooky Beardy and the Beast, a full spoiler discussion into a piece of media. We will be supplying spoilers so that there's one in every household. As always, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to give us a treat by following the cast or check out beardyandthebeast.com for a full list of services we can be found on. My name is Drew, and as always, he's attracting many visitors. Devry, too.
Feed me, Andrew. Feed me.
This Spooktober will be delving into the deepest, darkest of cinema. Musicals. Today we'll be discussing 1986 Little Shop of Horrors. So Dev, did this piece hit a sour note, or did it feed you what you needed?
I think it left a tart aftertaste.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Yeah. I feel once it hit what would be the second act on stage, I don't know, felt rushed, didn't flow well. I didn't like the ending.
Definitely felt more like 2.5 act. Something like wonky about the finish.
Yeah.
But that's probably, it could be that it was just so like enormous of a scale of ending that it just like conflicted with the rest of the piece.
Not even like the ending, which definitely went on way too long.
Yep.
Like way too long.
Should have been a ballad. Should have been a long flat ballad while he destroyed the earth.
That probably would have helped. They didn't cut the music to represent like the outro in a stage play where it would be, the credits and everyone taking their bows and stuff. It's like they didn't cut that overture down. But I think the first half is kind of setting up, I guess, the struggles of being downtown and this, and they started going with Seymour, getting to a point where he could get out of it. And then it just kind of stopped like super abruptly and just went to the fight scene between Seymour and Audrey. And it's just kind of like, so the overall, monster invasion plot was definitely done. None of the character plot really felt resolved.
Well, I bet you, like, if you're watching this off Broadway, it would make a lot more sense. I'm wondering if it is a case of just it not translating well.
Very possibly, and because I've definitely seen plays that do better on stage, and I've seen ones where it does better in movies. Chicago actually is an example. I think the movie is way better than the stage play because it just ties in some plot. It adds some plot that isn't there in the stage play. Don't know if there was anything cut from this compared to the stage play. But I mean, I guess it happens a lot. Rent would be another example. It's like the last act, it's after a year and it's like this little tiny snippet of time. It feels rushed, but I don't know. There's just more ties to the first act. And it just seemed like it wasn't there. Now, with that being said, like the transition between the acts, I really liked. I liked the change in the music and kind of the characterization they were doing there, especially where the music is so upbeat and they changed it where it's like, okay, no, there's that bit of tension there now, which was nice and quite enjoyed.
Yeah, I almost needed to prepare myself ahead of time because I'm not like the biggest musical guy. So while watching this, I was kind of lost a bit on what I should be observing. So I just kind of sat back and enjoyed it a bit. The transitions up until that last act, like exiting the second, like it felt cohesive. You could see how the threads were unwinding and how characters were actually beginning to develop, even though it made you assume that they were developing,
Hmm.
but with a limited time frame, I think they did a good job kind of being like, oh no, Seymour is gaining confidence and becoming one on his own.
Hmm.
And now we have like a pseudo antagonist of a dentist, and
That was a good number.
I really liked how, like, you knew something was going to be up with the plant, right? Like, I hadn't seen this before. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, the plant is going to be, it's going to be wonky. There's going to be something up with the plant. Okay, he's feeding it blood. That's worrisome. Okay.
Yeah.
Then when the dentist comes in,
Hmm.
and you begin to think like, okay, now we have like a proper antagonist here. He's going to like somehow like interfere with the plant, or there's going to be some plant-based drama here. The direction that they went, I really enjoyed.
Hmm.
They're just like, oh no, he's not a good guy, so you have a reason to kill him.
Yeah.
And I thought they were going to feed into that more, which I would have liked as well. I probably would have liked more, not that I didn't like the way they went.
Well, I think that's part of it. So it felt like, have you seen the other movie that we're going to be discussing?
Sweeney Todd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't feel too bad about just doing a little bit of a comparison, even though it's not. Spoiler alert.
The next one is Sweeney Todd. Yeah, I thought it was going to be like a subjective morality thing like they did for Sweeney Todd, right?
Yeah, and you get that growth um of the just getting further and further into what's happening,
Mhm.
right? With the murders. We didn't have that here. So we have the introduction of the dentist, um, who, yeah, becomes just that victim. See, it's not he deserves it. And don't worry, it's not really murder. He kind of killed himself by breaking his laughing gas. To immediately, it's not killing the owner, but making it easier for him to, kill himself.
It would.
With Audrey, and with Audrey too, and then just stop. So there was none of that type of buildup.
Mhm.
Right? It's
Well,
just
it was very abrupt. There was, if I were to have like framed this more as a film opposed to like a musical adaptation, I definitely would have focused on like him having more concerns about like feeding it blood and then eventually body parts and then like where do I go from here?
Mhm.
But like I understand the direction that they went, especially considering this was more comedy when comedy was more straightforward.
Yeah,
So there isn't any of that under layer of subjective morality or characters being lost or manipulated in that way. Usually it's
yeah.
a little bit more straightforward. And at this era of filmmaking, I don't know about stage plays or musicals though.
I mean, okay. So I guess one thing to note to help frame the musical aspect for you,
Mm,
the guy who wrote this is the guy who did all your Disney films. So, and you can see that style
mm, mm, mm.
um, throughout. So
I just
from the musical
I
point is there. It's just, you know what? So I'm actually going to go there. I'm going to put this at to Alan Menken, who wrote this. It's the same thing that I find for The Lion King. The Lion King has no middle,
I
and this
just
movie had no middle. Yep.
uh, I agree, but um, I just realized that Disney films are musicals. I always just classified them as Disney films. It makes sense. It's like it's an entire like genre of film and filmmaking.
This is where you edit in the Picard facepalm.
I never thought of that. I was just like, oh, it's a Disney film. They sing in Disney films. I'm gonna do a video essay in the future about how Disney films aren't actually musicals. Um,
Oh my
anyways,
god.
yes, okay. Lion King, no middle.
Yeah, and that's what I felt like this movie had. It had no middle. It didn't feel like a comeuppance for Seymour to be eaten by the plant.
Mm.
So it didn't feel like it was deserved for that to happen to him, but it also
You could have had a soft ballad as he was feeding himself to the plant or something.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, what have I done? I've hacked up a man, effectively fed my boss to it, and I couldn't save the woman I love. I literally have nothing now. All
Yeah.
that I have left is to feed myself to this plant. As he like slowly walks up the ladder to like walk
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Like, that's where it feels weird too, because it's like he was literally about to, Cobain himself.
Yeah.
And stopped to only get eaten by Audrey too. It's like one of these made more sense than the other. Or, where a lot of films would take it's like, okay, well, it's, Dr. Horrible style. Oh no, you've got what you want, but you've also lost everything you want. Like that type of ending probably would have felt a little bit better.
Well, maybe that's why I'm a little disconnected from it. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the film. Um, but I feel like from things like Doctor Horrible, Disney films, which are definitely not musicals,
Nope.
and yeah, Doctor Horrible, I'm kind of led to an ending that's, I wouldn't say even more deceptive or complicated, but there's definitely a flow of endings at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm not used to this style of like straightforward, like this and this and this and then done.
Yeah. Outside of that, like I actually really enjoyed most of the film. I think it was fun watch. I liked the play on music. It's that pretty cheerful, jazzy-ish sound.
Mm-hmm.
What you would expect to hear in a musical, but so dark in like the lyrics. It was this nice juxtaposition.
Like even in the beginning when you're like they had the downtown piece and the total eclipse piece.
Yeah.
No, these people don't actually have that much.
Mhm.
So they are just kind of like scraping by. It's not a good environment, so they're doing the best that they can.
They were fun. There's a lot of I can think a lot of good framing. It felt like a stage piece at the same time. Um, the sets, it was very much built on a stage. They didn't hide that fact like they do in a lot of movies.
Yeah, the one that I really liked was when he runs up to the roof before the marketing guy shows up and he's like,
Yeah.
one for every household. They like pen and you're like, oh, the sun is rising or the sun is setting or something. You're like, wait a minute. No, that's literally just like a painted backdrop
Yeah.
that you could see in a play.
I liked that. And just things like using like in downtown, they used the walking as percussion.
Mm-hmm.
So many nice little touches. Movie musicals are a weird thing. So I guess a bit of the history of it. Basically, the way back, movie musicals were doing good. Like this would be like, Fiddler on the Roof. No, not maybe not even that. Like Mary Poppins or other Julie Andrews films. Sound of Music. 9 to 5, Singing in the Rain. There was a lot of them. And they basically became oversaturated, much like some superhero movies nowadays.
Some.
So they kind of fell out because the whole realism aspect of film is something that's hard to overcome as well. So when you're in a theater, it's easy to jump into a musical. When it's animated, it's easy to forget that you're watching a musical like Some Drews. because there's already a break of that verisimilitude just from the nature of how the film, be it animation or the fact there's an audience and there's interaction there. In film, it doesn't always translate the best. And I think because they went stylized and made it feel very much like a stage play, it's a lot easier to not have that immersion break in the same way.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. It really did have that feeling like you were sitting down and, watching a play or a musical opposed to, which keeps it more grounded. So you're watching something that's very over the top, but
Mhm.
you automatically assume it because of what we think of and how we feel about musicals.
Mhm. And they made a lot of acting choices that played into that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like just that first customer. being so ham, but it is exactly what I would expect.
Yeah, we'll put it in the window and they'll come in and be like, oh, how unexpectedly interesting that plant is. It's like,
Yeah.
that won't work. And then instantly opens the door. I saw that plant in the window and it was unexpectedly interesting. I'm just like,
Yeah.
it really did have those play moments where, you know, like, you're waiting for the crowd to react.
Mhm. Yeah, and, like, they did it and it was nice because they even ended the film with that fourth wall break, like, the very end. You know, they have the end, and Audrey, like to me, it was obvious that that was supposed to be, like, Audrey coming out of the movie screen.
Yeah.
So, I really like that, and I think that's one of the things that the best musical movies do, is they never let you forget that it's a play.
Hmm.
So, the examples that immediately come to mind is Moulin Rouge, where they're constantly making it look like a set. Oh, great! My brain just Chicago is the other one where they're constantly moving into, we're in like a dream sequence, or we're on stage, and in a weird way that framing those shot choices make it more believable because it's less believable.
Exactly. Exactly. I think the only thing that actually was pulling me out of the film was Audrey's, like Ellen Green's shrill timbre.
Mm,
It was just like, it was very grating to me. And like in a lot of her singing pieces, I was just like, this doesn't feel right. But then near the end, was it Suddenly Seymour? When
mhm.
she starts singing using her actual singing voice, I'm just like, this is what I wanted.
Yeah, it was. I think very clearly a character choice.
Yeah.
Because I agree. It's like, oh, that suddenly Seymour. I'm like, yes, this is what I want. I agree. Not really sure how to say it differently. It's just a bit shrill.
It was grating enough to me that, not that I was getting absorbed in this film in the same way I might other pieces because of the disconnect, because they're very much making it seem like a stage play. It just had me like cringing a little bit when she was speaking on screen.
Yeah.
And usually I like when women are speaking on screen. I had to put that addendum on so I don't come off like a total jackass.
I don't know. We've had complete podcasts where we're like, no, we needed to give the women more characters. Looking at you, Northman. Is it Northman? Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Northman either needed actual character traits given to the female role, or there's just the female role removed completely.
Yeah.
It was unnecessary as they portrayed it, which was very unfortunate because there was so
Yeah.
much potential.
Yeah.
The film could have been so much better.
I agree. I like that Frank Oz had to play a hand in this, like as the director.
Hmm.
I think that definitely added to the film overall because you get quite the puppet master.
Well, I think you
Uh,
kind of needed him for Audrey too, right?
yeah,
And the effects around Audrey too were perfect.
and the dentist scene as well with
Hmm.
like just that one shot coming out of the mouth
Yeah.
where you could tell it was very much again that puppetry. I was like, oh, I love it. This is amazing.
And even the casting for Audrey too. Is it Levi or Levi Stubbs?
Yes.
I don't I don't think I would have accepted another voice as Audrey too.
I agree. I think that that's actually something important to bring up. Is I got the impression that everyone here actually could sing,
Hmm.
whereas that is not the case, especially in a lot of more modern musicals where they decide to act and try to Oscar bait instead of actually sing the piece. And it is so clear. I'm looking at you, Les Mis. Um, Les Mis actually annoys me on other sides of that too.
I'm just waiting for you to start taking shots at cats, so.
No, Smart and haven't watched that one yet. This is a big thing that people don't get. So Les Mis is, I'm not sure. Les Mis is probably one of the best examples of this. Everyone in that cast can sing.
Mhm.
Like Hugh Jackman is, he does musicals. Anne Hathaway, again, musical background. I think her parents were in musicals. I can't quite remember. I mean, Russell Crowe had a band. Like these are people that know how to sing. Amanda Seyfried, musicals. Like she's got a big musical background. I can't remember the guy who was with her more often. Again, he comes straight from musicals, like
Yeah.
not much in the way of film. So, but you had Hugh Jackman and Anne Hathaway going for the Oscar bait. So, for example, you don't cry when you're singing.
Mhm.
That is a way to kill your voice super fast. And you stay hydrated because, another way to kill your voice super fast. So, because Hugh Jackman thought it was more important to look emaciated, he didn't drink water for 3 days beforehand and
Mhm.
then tries to sing. Yeah, Anne Hathaway too busy trying to tear up during her rendition of Memories. Memories and Hope. Oh, songs. Whatever. I can't remember the name of the song, and I feel bad for that. That she's just crying, like actual crying, which
Mm.
kills her performance. And they filmed it dumb because of the and they would do like 15-hour days, just trying to get it perfect when they are literally setting themselves up in a way to not be getting it perfect.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and you get Amanda Seyfried and I can't remember the other guy's name, who again, very much on stage, very much knew how to act sing. And, all of their takes were just done first try
Mhm.
because they actually knew what they were doing. And you see that in a lot of musicals. Les Mis did it. Phantom of the Opera did it a bit. Uh, Cats clearly did it. I never had that impression in this film. The
Mm.
only one I questioned a little bit was Rick Moranis. I'm not sure how much he sung, but he definitely knew what he was doing, even if it wasn't his standard fare.
Yeah, honestly, like, from Moranis, I felt like he could work within his range.
Yes.
Just simply with that. He doesn't have a very expansive range. He definitely wasn't going for any high notes or anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was more textured than anything, which is interesting when it's kind of your main character
Mm,
that we're following, but it was still the right choice.
yeah. Oh, I agree. I couldn't picture that being someone else.
Yet apparently you said there's a second one of these.
Apparently, there was one in the 60s. Apparently, it was Jack Nicholson's first movie.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not sure who he played. I think it said he was the masochistic patient. I think is what I saw in the trivia.
When you do a search and one of the first things you see is Little Bridal Shop of Horrors, Story of Little Shop of Horrors, The Little Sex Shop of Horrors, Little Shop of Horrors, 1960.
Yeah, 1960. That's the one. I have no idea if that was a musical or what. I don't think it was a musical, just by the looks of it. I think it's just comedy. Though interestingly, just in the one screenshot, like Audrey looks very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Audrey, got distracted. Oh yeah, the sing acting. I felt that was nailed pretty well because that's something that a lot of people don't realize. It's like it's one thing to be able to sing a song. It's one thing to be able to act while singing. One example that I think was really good, again from those Disney non-musicals. Can't believe that just dawned in me.
Hashtag not a musical.
An example that I think of with that is from The Lion King. So Rowan Atkins' Zazu versus Carell's Zazu. And I Just Can't Wait to Be King. It's very clear that Rowan Atkinson, even though he wasn't singing, knew it was a song.
Mm-hmm.
So his responses to Simba's singing is very much a percussive. There's not much in the way of range. It's just making sure you hit the beats and speaking with the rhythm.
Yeah.
And you go and listen to Steve Carell in that, and it's like he had no idea. He was literally just talking. And it's so obvious. The Little Mermaid did the same thing. So this is a case where we have someone who does sing. I believe Haley Williams sings,
Hmm.
playing Ariel, and in Part of Your World, at the end of the song, Jodie Benson's version of Ariel, she just kind of stops and starts. She speaks like the last couple lines, and because again, musical background, she knows how to act and sing.
Yeah.
And you have Haley Williams, and she does this like weird trill. Like it has to be that I have to show off all of my vocal performance abilities, and it completely ruins the song.
I'm sad about that.
Oh my god, it was so bad, dude.
So I can't go back and I can't watch remakes and I can't.
I just wanted to see how bad it was. I wasn't expecting much, and I was still disappointed.
But if you expected it to be bad and you were disappointed, wouldn't that mean that it was okay?
No, no, it doesn't. When you go in with low expectations, like again, you and me had that for the longest while. As long as it's better than Fantastic Four, not talking about like we're talking about like the original Fantastic Four, like what was it, the '80s or whatever. And that's a really bad movie. So it's very easy to go into a movie and go, you know what? As long as it's not worse than this, I'm okay. I can enjoy this. And then you get the Little Hours. You don't expect much. The bar isn't high. Yet you're still disappointed.
To be fair, I do think The Little Hours is better than the original Fantastic Four movie. I actually like
It
The
is
Little Hours. It's just a bad movie.
close. So yeah, back to the point. Yeah, it was really good that everyone was very good with their acting and their singing, combining it, because again, it is not easy to do. Yes, that's right. I circled back 5 minutes later. I remembered the point this time.
If they were to redo a film, like say The Little Mermaid, and they just want to ruin it, they should get someone who can't sing or act like me to be Ariel. There you go. I'll ruin that film.
Oh yeah. You just want to wear the seashells.
You said I'm not already wearing them?
And then just think about it. You'd never have to leave the theater.
In some ways, I never did leave that theater. I felt like Suddenly Seymour was supposed to be like the real breakout piece.
Mm.
Like it to be that I can't wait to be king or part of your world or one of the songs from Aladdin. There's a couple bangers in Aladdin, to be honest. It definitely has I wouldn't say a higher bar, but it has a more regular consistency of song quality compared to the other films. They're all decent to good, whereas others are like excellent to like not great.
Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast, also all bangers.
Uh,
Bite me.
No, I kind of liked Belle better.
Oh.
But yeah, Suddenly Seymour, like, I felt like they were going for that like breakout piece where that's like if you were to go into a song cover contest or to show off your skills and you chose a song from The Little Shop of Horrors, you
Mm.
choose Suddenly Seymour.
Yeah.
But there's qualities to it that just don't hit it. Like it still seems like kind of a low bar of a song.
So I think this is where my issue with that transition comes in. So um, Suddenly Seymour to me was very much like something there from Beauty and the Beast. It's the song where okay they're starting to kind of see how each other is, and actually getting that connection happening,
Mm-hmm.
much in this way, same way as something there. It's like we're starting to see the love bloom between Belle and the Beast. But what happened is we never got the follow-up song that would come from that. So in this case here, the actual song Beauty and the Beast,
Mm.
which is the standout number for that, the culmination of what was built up in the song previously.
Yeah.
Uh, And that's what I was expecting to happen. Like, kind of noticed, like, okay, cool. This is a nice transition. This is clearly our move to act, intermission, then move to act two piece. And it started with that because, again, there was that music tone change. Right after that, I'm like, cool, we're in the second act. But then he never followed up on it. And that's what made that piece to me lack.
Unfortunately, I don't have enough knowledge to enhance, append to, or even disagree with what you're saying, but I think I agree.
Close enough.
Take the wins where you can get them. Big wins.
Get the W, boys.
Dubs in chat. Oh no, wait, we're recording, not streaming.
Yeah.
But I guess that makes sense because, like, what you're saying kind of does add to my perception of Suddenly Seymour. Like, it should have been that breakout based on where it was in this film, but compared to other musical pieces, it should have been followed up by the breakout piece.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which this didn't have. The two pieces after that, I don't know what they're called, but there was one I wrote as Come On, and the other one was Mean and Green, or like You Don't Know What You're Messing With.
So the Mean Green one was actually apparently written just for this film.
Okay.
Because you have to do that. Which is interesting because when they actually apparently when they performed at the Oscars and had to like censor the hell out of the song. Yeah, there's like 4 pieces after Suddenly Seymour.
But none of them are all that memorable or fantastic.
No, not at all.
I would have loved if there was like a plant ballad piece while he was destroying the world or something.
I did like the song that is immediately after Suddenly Seymour, the Supper Time one.
Mm-hmm.
Like that one I liked, just because of the tone shift. But yeah, it doesn't stand out, and I think that's the big thing. Like the first half, like did stand out to me. I mean, you have.
Well, it even had better. The pacing of the music was better too. In the second half of the film, they were pacing the events, not the musical numbers.
Yeah.
In the first half, they were pacing the musical numbers.
Yeah. And there's some amazing things done. Like I noted, like the Skid Row song, in particular, our basically first or second song. It was a really nice mix of, because you've basically got your world building songs and your I Want songs, your villain songs.
Yeah.
There's these sets, kind of set tropes songs. A lot of films keep them very separate. So again, we look at the Daughters of Triton from Little Mermaid. It is very much just, we are just setting the world. You followed it up with the I Want song with Part of Your World. Belle is... Skid Row reminded me very much of Belle. Okay. Where it was very good at setting up the world and being the I Want song at the same time. So I really liked that.
Well, he still... Because he went in... What was it? The 4th or 5th one where I think this one was kind of funny. So he starts singing about Somewhere That's Green, and that was kind of like a I Want song, right?
That was Audrey's song, though.
Was it?
Yeah, Audrey sang Somewhere That's Green.
Oh. It's still funny, though, because he still ends up Somewhere That's Green.
Yeah. He had Grow For Me, which was like the breakup song.
Oh, yeah.
When he was trying to get Audrey 2 to grow. It's like, this could be like that nicely twisted love song, like the unrequited love song. And it's literally just trying to get this plant to eat. Audrey's song was the Somewhere That's Green. But it also made it feel very weird when, she, like, as she's dying, it's like, okay, it's nice that you kind of made the callback of, I guess you'll get to be Somewhere That's Green. It just felt so weird. It's like, you seem strangely okay with this. You do not seem like the type that would be strangely okay with what's happening here.
It didn't make sense, but technically speaking, like, she did get her fulfillment. She found someone that would respect her and take care of her and actually cared for her. She had a future.
Yeah.
Technically, until she died.
Yep.
Honestly, she probably had more character development than anyone else in the film.
I agree. there were places for there to be other things. Just I don't know, again, we didn't get enough time to explore it. Like again, there was a lot that could have been there with Seymour, but it was literally like turned from him growing the plant and getting a little bit of fame to dead now, way too quick. Um, Within the film itself, clearly there was time passing in the in the show,
Yeah, yeah.
but again, missing that middle. I found the same thing when I said reference the Lion King. I found the same thing. It's like it goes from Hakuna Matata to I'm now back to fight for the pride again. Like way too quick.
Trying to remember what film we did recently where was it Serenity or was it Species 2? Kind of like when there's a switch up in the second half of the film,
Mm,
where it goes from a complete change of attitude. So in the first half of this was very much more musical orientated and paced that way, I mentioned before.
yeah.
But then it started trying to pace it like a normal film
Mm,
in the second half. And I think that adds on to the disconnect that you're kind of feeling, and like why you're not disconnect, but why you're irritated with like the lack of middle and the ending per se.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm just trying to remember which. Probably Firefly, Serenity.
Probably. That sounds like something that yeah, I think it was Serenity. It's so long since we recorded that now. Um that feels right to me because I think we were talking where it was like yes, because we've missed, part of the season that's supposed to be here. That feels right.
Yeah, and then in that one, it made itself its own whole piece. And the first half and the second half were different in that, like, they actually made the effort to bring people up to speed with where they are in the film, at least
Yeah.
with the characters.
Mhm.
Weird choices in some cases, but
Jane.
yeah. Uh, then they changed the pace to make it something unique and of its own, and
Yeah.
it worked there. Whereas that same thing was missing here.
Mhm.
Had they either went full bore film um, pacing or for full bore musical pacing, I think it would have turned out better if it decided to go with what it was.
I think the other thing that could be there, and it's like I'm normally a little bit better at this, was like, so I'm assuming that I'm correct, because obviously in musicals it's important to have the lay motifs there.
Hmm.
It's just as much a character as anything else. Like the characteristic of a song is tells you everything, and again, you see it through the Disney movies, even though they're not musicals. Uh,
Hashtag.
you get those little sound bites of the music throughout.
Mhm.
I didn't feel like there was any musical themes from the first chunk following through to the second part as well.
Hmm.
So it just adds to that disconnect.
And honestly, that kind of follows through with some of the criticisms of Cats that I've heard. Not that I've seen Cats in like on Broadway or elsewhere or the film, but as I understand it, like trying to make a film about a bunch of disconnected songs that really don't have anything to do with each other kind of makes for a bad film.
That's definitely part of it. So with Cats, it was again, haven't seen the film, but I've definitely watched people tear apart the film. Like from a musical perspective. So I guess the first thing, the history of Cats is it was based off of a book of short stories, and it was really just meant to be showpieces.
Mhm.
There is a super loose story put in just to give a reason to have these musical number showpieces.
Yeah.
That's it, and that's fine. So yes, one that immediately doesn't lead well to film unless you make strong effort to fix it again. That's why I like Chicago. It did very well at adding a storyline in between these songs
Mhm.
that is not there in the stage production. But Cats, the movie, did the same thing that they kind of did with Les Mis, where they let the actors dictate the songs, the pacing. So they would basically did it all live, which is not how you do movie musicals. So they could emote and change the songs. And again, in ways that people don't realize what you're doing. Is like if you singers do this all the time, they will change up the pacing. So they will sing a little bit faster, a little bit slower than what the music is.
Yeah.
And then put themselves back in just to add style to the song. But basically, they just let the actors do what they wanted. And the orchestra had to go, oh, maybe this works. And then there's a few numbers that surprisingly work very well from a musical standpoint in Cats. And very much like I mentioned with Les Mis, it was the pieces where people knew what they were doing. There's one song, and I just know it's like got a weird time signature. It's like 15 by 15 over 8. And
Yeah.
it's weird. It's weird. It's hard to count. I know you don't know music quite as much, but it's like some of those, metal drum
Yeah.
beats that you hear. And you would think if the actors were allowed to, kind of do whatever they want, that this one's going to be a crapshoot. But the lead on it was a tap dancer.
Oh, okay.
So we could force the rhythm because he knew what he was doing.
I appreciate that.
And it is so obvious that this becomes a standout piece. You need to stop doing stuff like this. I think I've ranted more about bad musicals than we have about this film.
Well, honestly, there's not too much about this film.
Yeah,
like we've covered some of the musical pieces we like. We discussed the pacing, even the cinematography, set design, and the characters already.
Yeah.
So we kind of discussed the majority of the film from start to finish.
That's true.
It's not a long film either.
No. I've got a couple things to point out. It's like, first of all, rip John Candy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freaking Bill Murray.
Oh my god, that was just it was amazing.
I was like, what's going on here? I appreciated that was in the film, but that was time that could have been used for something else.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine this film without the Bill Murray scenes, but
we see it had an important point because it irritated the dentist so much that he needed to then go and torture Seymour and get pushed over the edge to kill himself. Steve Martin's dentist was amazing. Absolutely loved that. I think I'd seen like pieces of the film, but I've never watched it in its entirety. I know most of this from cultural zeitgeist. I know the basic plot of. I think it was surprisingly, it was dark in ways that I didn't expect it to be dark.
Okay.
It's like I expected that, again, horror comedy aspects. I knew Audrey 2 was a plant-eating monster. I did not expect them to. I did not expect the line of Audrey saying, "It's like manager asking Audrey if she was a little tied up," and she says, "No, handcuffed, actually." But just like starting off with like, "Oh yeah, black eye. Is that new makeup?" Like, what? That threw me off a little bit, especially like as soon as I saw Alan Menken's name on it. I'm like, "Oh, okay." I know what to expect from the songs and such.
As it goes, it was definitely an enjoyable watch.
Mm-hmm.
I'd even consider watching it again.
I would too.
If I knew more about musicals, it'd probably be more impressionable on me.
Mm.
But that also put me in a position where I just got to enjoy it. A place that I like to be in.
Yeah.
Without... Like, I watched a couple superhero movies recently. I was just like, but they're so bad. But I have to get over it.
No, you don't have to get over it. No, they are bad. Don't say that they were okay, like you did in the Discord, because you're objectively wrong. They were bad.
No, they were okay.
No, they weren't.
They were okay. In a world that I will say Transformers films are okay.
You were literally the only person I've seen that said Love and Thunder was okay.
It was okay.
No one says that. Not even the Marvel fanboys said that. That was the only Marvel movie to come out where they didn't even have a grace period of, oh, this is good. No, it was just immediately, it was like, what the hell did I just watch? Most of the other movies took a couple weeks.
It was fine.
No, it wasn't.
No. Everybody
it
is
was
wrong
not.
but me.
Guardians, I agree with. It was okay, but that's because the other two Guardians movies were so good. The rocket scenes, really what makes that movie. Rest of it, yeah.
Speaking of
I
a
haven't
movie
seen
that
any
could
of
have been enhanced by being a musical as well.
Guardians.
Actually, yeah, with Rocket always singing, it was practically a musical.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at least Disney level's a musical.
Music was always a big part of that one. No, Love and Thunder was bad.
It was bad. Like a Transformers movie is bad.
No. It was worse than that.
You, sir, are completely incorrect.
No,
there is no world where the Transformers films are somehow better than Love and Thunder.
There is. The Transformers movies are crap. They're at least consistently crap. They literally crapped on Thor's character, and the Thor movies aren't the good Marvel movies in the first place. Yet somehow,
the first one was. Honestly, the Thor movies have been not great since the first one.
We're ending on fight me. Fight me. You are wrong, sir. Good day.
If you agree or disagree with Drew regarding Thor, Love and Thunder, join us in the Discord, where you can find it either in the description of this podcast or video, or at the website beardyandthebeast.com. Fiend.